I watched the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 sequel released in 2022. I watched the first Sonic the Hedgehog only a couple weeks ago at this point, and I finally have decided to just, keep going with the series, considering how the second one's already out, the third one's already out, so I'm going to keep watching them and release them, hopefully. I'll be watching the new Mario movie as well, because, it is kind of just hot and ready to go. And I do have to say, for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, one, I'm really glad they're just naming them the numbers. I feel like sometimes movies get too complicated with the numbering or how they title their sequels. I'm just glad that it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and not some weird thing. To be fair, it does slightly spoil all the stuff in like the box art or like the cover almost type of deal where, it shows Knuckles and all that stuff type of stuff. Because Sonic the Hedgehog 1 showed Tails at the very end, but we didn't technically know Knuckles was going to be. I remember them talking about Knuckles during the promotional material and stuff like that, but I feel like there should be some surprises depending on how it goes. To be fair, they literally introduced Knuckles at the very beginning, so like they're not trying to hide it. Like it's literally within the first 5 minutes of the movie that they introduce him. But before I get too in depth with talking about it, I do have to tell everyone that I am going to be spoiling this movie. If you're already spoiled, I'm sorry. If you didn't know Knuckles and Tails were in this movie, then I feel like there's some serious problems there in terms of your visual skills, because it's literally in the posters. But I will be spoiling the movie. This will not be a spoiler-free talk about the movie, so please, if you don't want spoilers, please click off or watch the movie and then come see what I thought about the movie personally. And if you'd like to continue seeing these types of videos, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it if you do. I do these videos on Fridays, so please come to the channel on Fridays if you want to check out these movie style stuff that I do. And if you're interested in some other things, I do videos on Monday where I talk about gaming/tech news as well. And if you're thirsty, I have a code TechnoJelly. Use at poggers.shop. Linked in the description. They do energy drink mixes, hydration drink mixes, and sleep aid mixes along with the shaker cups. If you'd like to do that, 10% off. Now, let's get straight into the video. So, I'm really glad at the very beginning of this movie that they just kind of just did the let's answer the question of where is Eggman and how is Eggman going, because they just straight up just show Eggman doing, and he does the coffee thing, and then he does the attachment thing of the quill and then the boom, and that's how they introduce Knuckles. And I'm still glad that Knuckles is the way he is portrayed in the games, where I do feel like sometimes Knuckles is portrayed really dumb, but he's not dumb. But I do like that in this movie that they're portraying him more as simple-minded, to the point. He is very focused. He even says that himself during the final battle. So I feel like I really enjoy this version of Knuckles. I also really like that he is very strong. I do find it kind of weird sometimes that Knuckles gets beat very often in Sonic shows or Sonic games, even though he's supposed to be like one of the strongest characters by far. He is definitely bronze over brains, but it's not that he's stupid, it's that he's simple-minded, which I do like the fact that they showed that version of Knuckles. He's not dumb. He's just kind of forward and to the point. And I would like to thank the comments of the last video as well, because they reminded me of all the things that I was missing or forgot about. Because I don't know why I didn't realize that the people that were chasing the owl person, or Sonic's parent figure, were the echidnas. Of course they are the echidnas. The echidnas, like the whole echidnas versus owl people thing, that's been a thing, if I remember correctly, for a while. But the echidnas, I don't want to say chasing Sonic or something like that, but like there's always been the echidnas doing stuff with the emeralds, and I should have realized that. Like I said, I'm a little slightly out of date when it comes to the Sonic lore and Sonic stuff. I really should have realized that it was the echidnas. And I know one of my biggest complaints in the first movie was I didn't care about the human characters, and to be fair, in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it is very small amounts of the human characters. They are there, of course. They're still talking, and Sonic's going through his growth spurts, being in Earth, sneaking out, trying to be a vigilante Batman style thing. I'm curious why they could do so many things. Like, I wonder if they had to pay for the mention of Batman or vigilante. I'm pretty sure he said Batman, or at least vigilante. So it's interesting. Also, I just realized I should also say that Idris Elba does great voicing Knuckles. I think his voice really works with Knuckles, especially the way they've always kind of showed him, the way he's portrayed. To continue talking about like the newer characters just real fast, I also really like that the tradition of having Tails, even though he is technically male, be voiced by a woman is hilarious, and it's a very big tradition. It always happens, funny enough. But Colleen O'Shaughnessy, I'm so sorry about my pronunciation of your name. I'm so sorry, but she does amazing as Tails of the sort of happy-go-lucky genius that Tails is. I'm also glad that they did show Tails's just uniqueness and inventions. I do hope that plane comes back every time. Tails' plane is iconic to me, at least, because of Sonic Adventure. So I love to see Tails' plane. I also do love that he just flies. It's always kind of weird when Tails doesn't fly, and he's not necessarily slow, just slow compared to Sonic, which is, a lot of people. Similar to Knuckles. Knuckles is slow compared to Sonic, but he's still faster than anything a human can do, basically. We need to be in cars in order to keep up with any of them, basically. And I just really love that fact of all the characters fitting what I imagine the characters to be in a movie like setting, in a more realistic Earth setting. Because not all the games are on Earth, funny enough. Or at least, they don't always say they're on Earth, or they're on a different version of Earth where humans are a thing. Like, sometimes Dr. Robotnik or Eggman is literally the only human, really. I do also really like the friendship that slowly builds between Tails and Sonic, because obviously Tails and Sonic are best friends in the games, and I do like how Tails knows about Sonic, and he's already Sonic the hero in his eyes because of the things that he saw because of his satellite technology. I'm curious if we're ever going to get to know where Tails is from. I don't really think they just said his home world or something like that. I'm curious if we ever get to know Tails a little bit more, but I can understand not worrying about it because it is Tails. He is technically a secondary character. He's a main character, but he's on the lower of the totem pole to know the backstory of. Other than the fact that he's a huge fan of Sonic and he left his home world to see Sonic, which is why Sonic feels so not indebted to him, but like touched because he just wanted to meet his hero type of deal. And just speaking between those two when they first meet Knuckles and then Tails comes to try to save Sonic, I do love the nod of I just met you, why would I trust you type of deal, because I do feel like that is kind of a trope in a lot of not even just kids movies, but like movies in general where people meet and then 5 seconds later they trust each other so much. Now, to be fair, Sonic does trust him pretty fast, but Tails does a lot of things to earn that trust. I mean, he literally saves him multiple times and in multiple ways, in literally multiple different continents, which is very funny. And in the first movie, I was kind of surprised that the Master Emerald or the emeralds in general were not mentioned at all, basically. And seeing the backstory of the Master Emerald being Earth's secret location and the quest for the Master Emerald and all that type of stuff, I'm glad that they eventually added it. Didn't seem super forced. Like, obviously, it is technically just a MacGuffin. It is the plot MacGuffin, the Master Emerald. They always have been. But it's nice to see that there was some thought put into it where, like, why are they on Earth? Why are they fighting each other? The echidnas and the owl creatures are in an eternal war. Knuckles is the last one. I am curious what happened to Knuckles' father, because I don't think that owl, the mother owl, won that fight. Like, there were dozens of them, unless they're that strong compared to the regular echidnas. Can like one owl, that one mother owl, beat all, like, over, like, there were like at least double digits worth of them. So it's kind of surprising to me that I mean, to be fair, it is like Knuckles, the last echidna. That is his name, but like, I'm just curious if they ever will or try to explain why he is the last echidna. That's probably something going to be either Sonic 3 or 4, potentially, because I don't know if you can handle that much backstory. like I said, I'm curious like where they're going with the backstories of these characters, or if they're going to explore any of the backstories with any of these characters. Because being from the games, I kind of already know some of the backstory, but I also want to know their take on the backstory of some of these characters, because obviously, even in the Sonic games in general, they've changed out over the years based on which games you're playing or stuff like that, or which like series of games you're playing, because they do change quite often. And I'm most familiar with like the Sonic Adventure series of lore stuff, and I guess technically Sonic X, but I know Sonic X really isn't considered much anymore because that was a TV show. And so to move on, to continue on with me talking about the actual what's happening in the movie, I really like the Mean Bean, the coffee shop that Agent Stone is using and Dr. Eggman's using as his baits. Once again, glad Agent Stone is back. I really like the totally loyal lackey that Dr. Eggman always has in basically any media, whether it be the robots. Generally, they're robots, but this one, it makes a lot more sense that it is a human. And I think both him and Dr. Eggman just play off each other so well. I think the dynamic between them is so good. And I just also just love how Agent Stone, I was going to say call him Dr. Stone, but Agent Stone is just so loyal to Dr. Eggman. And to be fair to him as a character, Eggman is in fact a genius. Like, there's no not saying that he isn't. Like, the technology he has is genius. He is literally crazy, but you know, Agent Stone can ignore that fact, and you know, more power to him, I guess. But I do also love that they made Agent Stone a little more capable. I do like that he actually, like, you know, Agent Stone is getting better at this type of stuff, and he always seemingly is helping or undercover, or in many ways it's really cool to see that he is a capable person, just obviously not as smart as Dr. Eggman, and maybe not as crazy, or just as crazy, because I mean, to be fair, he is willingly siding with Dr. Robotnik. So, I mean, I guess he is kind of crazy in that way. But I really like that. And the suit up scene is amazing, of Dr. Eggman coming back and suiting up, being resuited. And the nod of Eggman helping Knuckles up when Knuckles thought the robot, like his drones were going to attack him. And he's like, he's doing this whole speech about how he's going to destroy them all. And then he's like, oh, there's stairs. And he walks up the thing saying like, oh, he's actually just like trying to help him. Well, help him in the way of Dr. Eggman trying to help you, because obviously he betrays him, but you know, kids movie. The dance battle was funny, I do have to say, but it is sort of whatever for me. I like the dance battle, but you know, that was definitely a kids movie moment for me. I'm sure the kids who watched Sonic 2 loved this. Probably was funny, was great. For me, I was like, that is funny, but like, you know, that's a skip. I won't be watching that scene too many times after, if I were to rewatch it. Then when we get to actually Siberia, where the stuff is, the snowboarding scene, I'm curious if the snowboarding thing was like, that has to be a nod to the games. There's so many times where Sonic grabs a sheet of whatever metal he has around and uses a snowboard to escape something. I mean, Sonic Adventure 2 is like obviously the clear one where he does the city escape stuff, but like that happens multiple times in multiple games. So I'm curious if that's a direct nod or if I'm just thinking about it too much. I'd love to know if you guys think that as well in the comments down below. I'm curious if we are ever going to get an explanation of why Earth was selected for the Master Emerald. Because like the whole reason they're there is they're finding the Master Emerald. I'm curious if they ever will explain it. I mean, I guess technically they did kind of explain it because it's the secret location. But, you know, other than the fact that, you know, it has to be on Earth because, you know, movie and Sonic and all that type of stuff. Because I understand that point, but I wonder if there is an actual reason. But if they don't have a reason, honestly, that's totally fine. I'm not blaming them for that. I am interested to see what more Sonic abilities they give him, because in this movie, obviously the super speed is still there. The blue wave stuff is still there, but he does the homing attack way more often in this movie. To be fair, there is a lot more action in this movie, I feel like, than the first one. A lot more action, and he does the homing attack a lot more. I also feel like he desperately needs a better carrying case for his rings. He constantly drops his ring case, or his ring bag thing. And also, I feel like, did they show him getting back his rings after they lose them during the snowboarding thing. I don't remember him getting them back, but they kind of just get them back. I feel like that might be something. Maybe I missed like a line or something like that. But I do feel like they kind of glossed over the fact that he lost his rings at the end of the snowboarding section, but he just has the rings again. The wedding scene is funny. It is the most humans in Sonic, and I do. It was a fun scene, don't get me wrong. I like the whole government is still like being there and, you know, being the government. I do like how the two sisters team up and do all the things with Tails' gadgets, which that was really cool. I'm curious if the sister and the cop guy is going to be in the third one. I don't see why not. It seems they're setting up as obviously those are like kind of like the four main humans on Sonic's side, kind of. It's mostly just the husband and wife, let's be real, because obviously there's the government people, but like it does seem like it's interesting to see that they do show up again. And honestly, seeing them kick butt with Tails' gadgets was fun. I love see Tails' gadgets. I really hope they continue expanding on all the Tails gadgets. It's really cool. The After the wedding scene with the Master Emerald getting discovered by Eggman and Knuckles using the compass, opening the temple in the ocean. That's a very for me. That feels like a very classic Sonic moment. There's always temples in random spots. I always feel like there's a temple of some kind in a Sonic game. Basically in every Sonic game, I feel like. Really classic type of stuff. I also love basically the dungeon crawl that Eggman and Knuckles do with the whole traps and all that type of stuff and them trying to figure out the traps, and then eventually they just use a robot because Dr. Eggman is that type of guy. And Sonic just rushes through and then basically accidentally falls into where the Master Emerald is, which is really funny. I'm sort of surprised that the Master Emerald wasn't guarded by something. I was expecting traps to be in the main room as well, but basically there wasn't. And that was surprising to me. I thought there was going to be some sort of like trapment or something like that, like a thing. But I guess what we're kind of working up to is the Eggman final boss fight, which that basically was. It was a Dr. Robotnik final boss at the end of the movie, which, you know, obviously makes sense. Obviously, him betraying Knuckles at the end, everyone saw it coming. Obviously, it was going to happen. The only person that didn't see it coming was Knuckles himself. But overall, I'm glad that eventually Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails all are okay with each other. It's funny to me that Knuckles still calls Tails Fox like the fox creature or Fox. I can't remember if that was a thing or not, but I remember Knuckles not calling everyone by their name all the time. I do remember that being a thing. He just has his own nicknames for people, similar to when Sonic does that as well. Though to back up just slightly, before Knuckles, I guess it's during when Knuckles gets betrayed, the Sonic versus Knuckles fight is great. Obviously, you got the classic half screen clash thing that happens when they first run at each other. That perfect scene, amazing. The fight, the constantly homing attack, Knuckles, great. That's how Sonic fights. I'm glad that they're getting the Sonic style of fighting really well done, of his mixture of speed and, I don't know if strength is the right word, because Sonic is strong, but it's like not his thing. It's obviously his speed. But I mean, it's not like he's not strong. His homing attack would hurt. If a human gets hit by that homing attack, I think they just straight up die. Let's be honest. The only reason Knuckles survives is because how strong he is. But I think if any regular person gets hit by that homing attack, I think you die. I love the fact that they kept, I guess this was also at the very beginning of the movie as well, but Sonic can't swim. That's a very classic Sonic thing. Sonic has no idea how to swim. He can never figure it out. And Knuckles saves him because of that, because Sonic saved Knuckles first. It is a very cool thing. Their moment when they're throwing sand at each other, and then, you know, the Knuckles handshake, because he's so strong he's breaking everyone's fingers, is hilarious. It's amazing. Perfect Knuckles moment. And then we get to Dr. Eggman having the Master Emerald and being basically able to create whatever he can think of. I love the fact that it is, I don't know if it's classic, but like it is the Dr. Robotnik robot, where it's like the two standing Dr. Robotnik face robot with the missiles, the lasers. I do love the mustache gag. It's great. The punching. Jim Carrey is still killing it as Eggman. I don't think he'll ever disappoint me in any of these movies as I continue going through them. He is a perfect Eggman, the perfect blend of crazy and smart, and the fact that he's also just kind of being himself. Like Jim Carrey kind of has a style, and even though like I had this problem with the Mario movie when it was Jack Black as Bowser, because I find it hard not to hear just Jack Black. While it wasn't as bad in the Mario movie as something like the Minecraft movie, because I could Jack Black is not Minecraft Steve. I'm sorry, but he's just not. Jack Black was doing a better Bowser in my opinion. But Jim Carrey, I've never had that problem with Jim Carrey, even though he's kind of doing the same Jim Carrey stuff. I don't know what it is, but it's just he is Eggman, and I just can't get it out. Like it's just it feels so good, so natural for him to be it. The scene of them flying towards the Eggman robot is great. I love that Tails has his plane. It's a iconic plane in my opinion. And I just realized now that I was so excited to talk about everything. I do want to talk that they have the Eggman egg carrier thing, like the circle, the sphere, the half sphere thing that Eggman flies in all the games. They finally had that in this one, where it was more like the regular ball shaped thing because they kind of had it in the first one, but it wasn't really. Love that they had that in the second one, and I hope they just bring it back, obviously. But going back to the robot fight, it's amazing. It's great. I love the fact that all three of them realize that the weakness of Dr. Robotnik is his obsession of Sonic. It's always been his weakness. He always forgets everyone else or anything else around him other than Sonic to crush him. I also kind of like how they just accept the fact that Tails has that cloning machine thing that he does. Because I remember him doing that in the games, I think. But it's really cool that he just does that pretty often. Like, he does it at least twice in this movie, which is really funny. And him obviously being a distraction for Knuckles so he can punch the Master Emerald out of him. I was surprised that it was so easy to punch it out of him, but he is Knuckles punching Eggman, a human. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I was surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be now that I think about it because it's Knuckles. Anyone getting punched by Knuckles is like probably dead unless you're a special being or a special person. And Dr. Eggman, the only reason he survived that punch probably is because of the Master Emerald. I'm glad that the robot was still functional, even though the Master Emerald wasn't there. Like Eggman, of course, being the genius he is, has a backup plan if the Master Emerald isn't there. So you can still see that it still functions and he still tries to fight with it. And of course, the final scene of Supersonic just wrecking the robot. The Eggman punching him, trying to punch him, and then Sonic just holding out his hand and stopping it. Perfect. Amazing. Love it. So good. So cool. And it's so cool to see Supersonic be Supersonic. Like, Supersonic is basically indestructible and is the most powerful being. Almost guaranteed. Like, I guess there's arguments between Super Shadow and Supersonic, but, like, let's be real. At least in this movie, Supersonic, strongest thing ever. So it's awesome to see that. And him just getting wrecked. No chance. Dr. Eggman saying, and then the final thing of him just tipping the robot over. Classic Sonic. I am surprised that after the Master Emerald broke and then, Sonic absorbed the emeralds, Knuckles just remade it again. I'm surprised that wasn't going to... I honestly thought that was going to be a plot point of the third movie, of them trying to repair the Master Emerald, and then Shadow appears. Because I knew Shadow was coming in the third one. And I thought that part was going to be part of the plot, and that when I saw the Master Emerald break, but then Knuckles just repairs it. So I was like, oh, I thought they were going to use that more for Shadow appearing and stuff like that. But it's interesting to see, and I do love that they just show that Knuckles just knows the Master Emerald. Of course, as he said in the movie, he's prepared his whole life for this, so it makes sense. Also, him losing purpose, almost, in his own words, because, like, he spent his whole life for this moment. Now what? And then, he becomes, friends. I don't know best friends, but friends with Sonic and Tails. Knuckles has always been a question mark when it comes to, like, the best friend group. I know all three of them are technically always there, but it's Sonic and Tails are the best friends, and Knuckles is there sometimes depending on the game, which is, that just depends. He's more of a friend that's always there when you need him, but he's not always there if he doesn't need to be there in a lot of the games, which, makes sense considering how in a lot of the games he's protecting the Master Emerald. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I liked it actually more than the first one. One, because there's just more Sonic stuff in this one. There's so many good references. There's so many good action scenes. I feel like there's also just a lot more nods to the games because, the temple, the snowboarding, the homing attack, the Knuckles versus Sonic fight, the Eggman robots looking more like the video game robots, the egg carrier, the egg robot, his mustache, obviously. I just feel like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was a good movie, and it was a good setup movie for the rest of the movies, and it served its purpose. I liked it, but I feel like I'm going to be enjoying these movies more and more as they get more into the game, like more into Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is much more Sonic than the first one, which is what I really enjoyed about it. And honestly, I was going to say, like, I was going to go on to stuff that I didn't like about it, but honestly, I kind of just enjoyed most of it. I don't really have that many complaints about it. Other than the fact, like, maybe still too much humans, but, like, honestly, even the human scenes weren't even that bad. I still think the human characters played their role well. I think it's fine, honestly. And if they keep this ratio of where, like, 80% of the movie is just Sonic or Sonic adjacent characters with humans or just them, I'm okay with that. It was the human only sections where I'm like, I don't really care. It's the first movie. That's just because they had to introduce Sonic, and now there's more characters, like the Sonic characters are more of them, so it makes sense. And can't wait to watch the third one. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do these videos on Fridays. So come to the channel on Fridays if you want to check that out. I do news videos on Mondays as well, talking about gaming news and tech news sometimes as well. If you'd like to support me directly, please go to my Patreon at patreon.com/thetechnojelly. We do a once a month live stream as well, hanging out and doing all that cool stuff. You can vote on what we do and hang out and chat if you join the memberships on Patreon. If you'd like to support super directly, I have a code at poggers.shop. It linked in the description. Code TechnoJelly gets you 10% off of their hydration, energy drink, and sleep aid mixes, as well as their shakers. They actually have a new energy flavor right now out for pre-order. You can get 10% off if you use my code TechnoJelly, so go check them out, linked in the description. I also have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads, all at the TechnoJelly. Click or tap my face if you'd like to check out any of these two videos right now. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye, everyone.